Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This is probably going to be the saddest video I'm ever going to make. On the 7th of December 2020, my rabbit Sherbert died. My parents think it was just his time, and there's a good chance that that's true, but there also are a lot of other things that could have happened, so we don't really know. The morning that he died, I came out and I gave him his pellets, and he came out. He didn't seem out of the ordinary, but to be fair, I didn't see much of him because I was busy doing schoolwork. But we came out to shut him in, and I gave him his veg, and I put the veg in the hutch, and Poppy came running out, and Sherbert didn't. And I was like waiting a minute, and he still didn't come out, and I started saying, "Sherbert, Sherbert, your food's here," and I banged on the doors, and I thought, why is he not coming out? He's either escaped or he's dead. And I really hoped he had escaped, but it was the latter. I opened the top compartment of the hutch, and he wasn't in there, which makes sense because then they usually sleep in the bottom. And usually I'd have to top myself up for these sort of things, but now I just opened the bottom one, and there he was, just stretched out, laying there. I didn't want to look at him, but I had to just look at his chest to make sure he wasn't breathing, and he wasn't. And then I closed the door, and I was scared that I wasn't going to cry, because I don't cry a lot, but then I did, and I just kept crying there I just stood there for a good 10 minutes, and then I thought, I need to give Poppy his water, so I went and filled Poppy's bowl up with water, and was still crying, and I just couldn't face the fact that he was dead. I just didn't want to go inside and tell my dad that we need to take his body out and bury it, and I couldn't do it, so I just waited until my parents came out and got me, and then I was just crying. They were like, "What's wrong?" And I couldn't say anything. I was just like covering my ears because I didn't want to listen. And then my dad went outside, and he came in, and then he said, "He's dead." So when I finally stopped crying, I said, "What are we going to do with the body?" And he said, "I'll put it in a cardboard box and we'll bury it tomorrow," because this was like 9 o'clock at night. We couldn't do it at middle at night, so he got the body and he put it in a box, and he said it was stiff and it was really cold, and so he must have died like at least a few hours ago. And I know these probably aren't linked, but what was really scary was like a few hours earlier, I suddenly started shaking for no reason, and I wasn't cold, I just started shaking. They're probably not linked, I don't know. So then we didn't let Poppy sleep in that hutch. We put Poppy in the other hutch, and Poppy's still there now. We cleaned it all out and we disinfected it. We're going to leave it like that for another week, then disinfect it again, then leave it for another week, just in case there's anything in there. Poppy, I've seen a lot of cases where people have, one of their rabbits has died and then the other has died not long after, but I refuse to let that happen. Poppy's not going to die. I don't think he will anyway. He's not the type of person who, he's not the type of rabbit who's very social. Sherbert was always the one that followed Poppy around. Poppy was always the leader. I think Poppy can cope on his own. If it was the other way around and Poppy had died, I don't think Sherbert would cope. Sherbert would die as well. But Poppy is not going to die. We buried him in the garden the next day. We put a stick to mark where he was. I have one regret. I wish I looked at his body more, because all I got to see was him laying there dead when I first found him, and then I saw like a bit of his foot when my dad, and a bit of his body when my dad buried him. I couldn't look at him, but I wish I did, because that would be the last time I ever get to see him, and I missed that opportunity. My dad said Poppy probably tried to bury him because he had sawdust all over him. He thinks he might have tried to like dig a hole to cover him up. This is kind of a memorial video for him, for Sherbert. There's some videos that are on my channel or that I just had of Sherbert. Goodbye, Sherbert. And my bunnies. This is Sherbert. Now, I'm just bits. Sherbert is 7.
She calls me day and night. I'm sorry, girl, you just don't make me feel
The reason why the rabbits are brown is because the paint is coming off. It's not affecting them, it won't hurt them anyway.
Just leave me be, I'm not gonna put up a fight.
Right now I'm doing my checks on the rabbit. I'm just
Every time you wake up, feel check the time. It's never what it feels like, just throw me a dime. If everything